Today we're going to look at the literature reading passage from Practice Test 4. It's about The Balloonist from MacDonald Harris. 1 and 2 were paired questions. Number 1. Over the course of the passage, the narrator's attitude shifts from C. Uncertainty of his motives to recognition of them. The narrator initially expresses uncertainty or uneasiness over his decision to set out for the North Pole. My motives in this undertaking are not entirely clear. At the end of the passage, the narrator recognizes that because of this journey, he is on the brink of knowing, not an ethereal mathematical spot, the North Pole, but himself. And this was found D, lines 56 through 57. Number 3. As used in lines 1 through 2, not readily verifiable most nearly means D, not completely understood. In lines 1 through 6, the narrator says that he feels a vast yearning and that his emotions are complicated. He explains that he does not understand quite what it is that the yearning desires. In this context, his emotions are not readily verifiable or not completely understood. Number 4. The sentence in lines 10 through 13, for years ... other mainly serves to C. Show that the narrator feels himself to be influenced by powerful and independent forces. In lines 10 through 13, the narrator explains that the machinery of his destiny has worked in secret to prepare him for this journey, as its clockwork has propelled him to this time and place. By using the phrases the machinery and its clockwork, the narrator is showing that powerful and independent forces are causing him to journey to the North Pole. 5 and 6 were paired questions. 5. The narrator indicates that many previous explorers seeking the North Pole have perished in the attempt. In lines 20 through 21, the narrator states that many people have perished while journeying to the North Pole. Nobody has succeeded in this thing, and many have died. That quote was found in lines 20 through 21. 7. Which choice best describes the narrator's view of his expedition to the North Pole? Absurd, but necessary. In lines 27 through 39, the narrator states that he is intent on traveling to the North Pole, but acknowledges that the journey is absurd. Who wants the North Pole? What good is it? Can you eat it? Will it carry you from Gothenburg to Malmö like a railway? By asking these questions, the narrator recognizes that the North Pole has no practical value. Still, the narrator admits that finding the North Pole is necessary, as it must nevertheless be sought for. 8. The question the narrator asks in lines 30 through 31, will it ... railway, most nearly implies that D. Reaching the North Pole has no foreseeable benefit to humanity. In lines 27 through 31, the narrator asks a series of rhetorical questions about the North Pole. Who wants the North Pole? What good is it? Can you eat it? Will it carry you from Gothenburg to Malmö like a railway? In this context, the narrator is suggesting that reaching the North Pole has no foreseeable benefit or value to humanity. Unlike trains that bring travelers to specific destinations, the North Pole does not provide humans with a specific benefit or form of convenience. 9. As used in line 49, take the slightest interest in most nearly means D. Have curiosity about. In lines 48 through 49, the narrator states that the North Pole is an abstraction, a mathematical fiction, and that no one but a Swedish madman could take the slightest interest in it. In this context, the narrator is stating that people would not take the slightest interest in it or be curious about the North Pole. Number 10. As used in line 50, bearing most nearly means A. Carrying. In lines 49 through 51, the narrator describes his balloon journey toward the North Pole. The wind is still from the south, bearing us steadily northward at the speed of a trotting dog. In this context, the wind is bearing or carrying the narrator in a direction to the north.